Welcome back. As you know, I'm Eli, the computer guy, here for the Daily Blob, where we say, wait a minute, what? This actually affects me? That's not right. Do you know who I am? I am a Whole Foods shopper. This kind of crap is for the other people. Anyways, I didn't think this was interesting because this actually came across my newsfeed a couple of days ago, and I thought, I don't know, is this even worth talking about? And then I went to Whole Foods, and like a quarter of the Whole Foods basically had no food in it. The frozen section, the vegetables and the fruit, most of that stuff was gone. So many things that I went to go and try to buy, it simply wasn't there. And apparently it's because their distributor has been taken offline by a hacking attack. And this really does have real world effects. So this is one of the frustrations that I have. Some people are like, why does Eli keep screaming? Why is Eli still so cynical? I get that from some of the viewers. They're like, I cannot stand Eli the computer guy's cynicism. I just don't understand why he's so cynical. Do you know why I'm so cynical? Because let me tell you, Windows NT 4.0. When I got my MCSE back in 2000, the operating system was Windows NT 4.0. Do you realize Windows NT 4.0 was certified to be used within the NSA? If you lock down Windows NT 4.0, do some things, again, security settings and all that kind of thing, you could run Windows NT 4.0 securely within a nation-state intelligence agency and feel pretty comfortable using that operating system. That was 25 years ago. They were able to lock down that operating system. And yet we're sitting here in 2025 and things like food distributors can still be taken offline by hackers. And this is why I'm cynical. There is no reason for this at this point in time. CTOs need to start going to jail. CIOs, CTOs, directors of IT, not the peons, not the desktop support. You have no power. Nobody thinks you have power. But the people that do have power, if your systems are taken down because of a hacking attack, you should be spending at least a couple of months in a box thinking about why you were so stupid. But we're not getting that. We're spending $13 billion on aircraft carriers to protect you Americans. But, actually protecting our digital infrastructure is just a bridge too far. And we see this with ransomware attacks against the hospitals. We just see this day after day after day. And what does the government do about it? We create an AI diffusion rule. Because the thing that's really dangerous to American citizens is whether or not the Chinese folks get artificial intelligence, right? But anyways, that is the world. That is the world that we are in. Are we going to protect our hospitals? Are we going to protect our food supplies? Are we going to make sure that our citizens are protected within this country, within the digital realm? No, of course not. Of course not. Anywho, this comes from CNN, but it also came from many other places. Empty shelves. This is true. I have seen it with my own eyes. Plague some Whole Foods after distributor knocked offline. And this is what I think about our modern world. Again, they talk about us. We are already in a war. Eli, we are already in a war with China. It would be nice if the whiny-ass little bitches that keep talking about us being in a war with China already actually acted like we are in a war with China. Isn't it fun? Isn't it funny how easy it is for people to say we're already in a war with China? But then if you look at the things that are required to fortify our infrastructure and those types of things, yeah, nobody really cares. We got to get rid of TikTok. TikTok is a threat to Americans. Hospitals being taken offline, grocery stores being taken offline, critical infrastructure being taken offline. I mean, It's not like that's as significant as TikTok or anything. But anyways, our politicians know how to break things, they know how to destroy, they know how to punch twice as hard as they get punched. Sadly, they don't know how to build a gosh darn thing, now do they? Anyways, CNN, empty shelves plague some Whole Foods after distributor knocked offline. And think about this. I mean, think about if multiple systems went offline at the same time. We know folks can hack the utility system. So we know they can attack the telephone systems. Again, going after things like food distribution. What if all of those systems were hit at the exact same time? What would we do as a country? It is interesting being in Nashville, right? Being in Nashville when Helene hit, right? Power went out. Water, literally the water lines were pulled. Internet went out because fiber lines were pulled, and just simple mobile phones, SMS services, all of that went out. Literally, just in a blink, within minutes, all of them went out at the exact same time. And that hit this one city. This one city, it caused a lot of problems. Think about if there was a coordinated attack against numerous cities, dozens of cities at the exact same time. What would we do as a country? Who knows? Who knows? But at least there won't be as many Mexicans here. But the one thing that won't be here is as many Mexicans. Anyhow, Whole Foods employees say a major cyber attack on a leading distributor has left some store shelves and freezers empty. Quote, our frozen cooler is empty, our bread hearth is bare, and customers are increasingly upset, one barista and bakery employee at a Whole Foods located in Arkansas told CNN. The employee, who requested anonymity because she was not authorized to speak to the media, complained there was a, quote, complete lack of transparency about the disruption and that, quote, nearly every department has been heavily impacted. That is the other interesting thing, again, about our society and our lack of rules and regulations. These companies can be attacked. There can be real and actual damage, real and actual harm, but the opacity of the information that we are provided as citizens is rather stark. United Natural Foods, the primary food distributor to Whole Foods, disclosed the damaging cyber attack and disruption to its business Monday. It's unclear how widespread the supply disruptions to Whole Foods are, but an update from UNFI on Tuesday suggests significant problems. The company said it's currently shipping to customers only on a limited basis. Whole Foods could not provide details on how many of its locations have been impacted by the cyber attack. However, a Whole Foods spokesperson told CNN that the Amazon-owned grocery store is working to restock shelves as quickly as possible and apologized to customers. The Whole Foods barista from Arkansas shared photos with CNN that showed thinly stocked shelves. Quote, we've spent time deep cleaning our freezers, an unusual task simply because our normally overstocked freezers are now completely bare. Another Whole Foods employee who spoke to CNN on condition of anonymity said her California location has been unable to accept or process orders. We had quite a few customer complaints. Multiple customers and apparent employees on social media reported empty shelves and delivery problems. One user on Reddit posted a photo of an empty refrigerator with a sign saying the store is experiencing a temporary out-of-stock issue for some products. I'm sure they're working, quote, I'm sure they're working closely with Whole Foods, Amazon, but what about us? Oh, that's right. Jeannie Shinbach, founder and work owner of Patty Cake Bakery in Columbus, Ohio, told CNN she is about to run out of butter normally supplied by UNFI, her main supplier. She said UNFI has taken, quote, 0 steps to communicate and had to turn to Reddit to learn what happened. Quote, I'm sure they're working closely with Whole Foods, Amazon, but what about us little guys whose literal bread and butter is being severely compromised? She said, the issue, as far as I'm concerned, isn't the cyber attack, on which we can't necessarily blame them, but the lack of any information from them still is deeply upsetting. The incident underscores how cyber attacks on delicate supply chains can have a real-world impact for customers and employees. UNFI said, quote, unauthorized activity in our systems discovered last Thursday forced it to completely shut down its systems by late Friday. Quote, we're working as rapidly and safely as possible to bring our systems back. Douglas said the company is working with customers and suppliers, quote, transparently to do everything we can possibly to help them manage through the short-term difficulty. Douglas said he's been in touch with many customers and the conversations have been, quote, extremely constructive and collaborative as they try to bitch smack you as a CEO. UNFI CEO defended his company's cybersecurity efforts. Really? Really? Your cybersecurity efforts are so fucking good, you had to shut down all of your systems. No, my friend, that is failed cybersecurity. That is what we call failed cybersecurity efforts, and pledge to review existing protocols. Quote, the threat actors out there are always looking for ways to innovate and find new ways to penetrate systems, Douglas said. We just got penetrated. What is a CEO supposed to do? Actually pay for the professionals and the resources to prevent cyber attacks? Don't you understand? I need a new yacht. CEO, I can either get a new yacht or I can pay for proper cybersecurity. And this is one of the arguments that I make for so many people who want to become cybersecurity professionals. They say, look, Eli, obviously, there are a lot of jobs out there for cybersecurity. Look at all of the hospitals getting hacked. Look at this particular hack. Look at all the ransomware. Obviously, these companies and organizations are gonna hire more cybersecurity people. It's like, yeah, no, bucko, you're reading this crap entirely wrong. Entirely wrong. Here's the thing. If they gave two craps about cybersecurity, then they wouldn't be having these issues. The reason that they're having these issues in 2025 is because they don't want to fund cybersecurity. They would like to fund every other damn thing in the world other than cybersecurity. And our government, right, a whole bunch of poodles pissing over themselves, pretending to be alpha dogs, is more interested in punishing the Chinaman and going after TikTok and AI diffusion rules and all of that kind of stuff, rather than actually holding our CEOs, CIOs, CTOs feet to the actual fire. Fucking make a goddamn bonfire, grab these executives, rip their fucking shoes off, shove their feet into the bonfire, and then, I don't know, just go crack a beer and watch them scream in agony for a little while. Might be amusing. I don't know, do you think that would actually work, Eli? I don't know. It would be fun, though. It would be metaphorically, it would be fun. But that's the thing. Our government refuses, literally refuses, to hold executives into account for their abject failures. CIOs, CTOs, CEOs need to know that if they grossly fail at their jobs of cybersecurity, they're going to spend time in jail. When they sit there and they go, I could hire as a cybersecurity professional and actually pay for the support and infrastructure to make sure our systems are secure, and they decide not to, all they need to understand is by deciding not to, they may spend a couple of months in a box getting to think about what a dumbass they are. Because our society runs off of these systems. Everything at this point runs off of these systems. And if you're not willing to flog the ever-loving shit out of these executives, they're never going to take it seriously, right? The CEO defended his company's cybersecurity efforts. Fuck you. You failed miserably. You lose. You go to a box for 2 months to think about what you did. But anyways, brown man bad for some reason. But Eli, all you're forgetting is Chinaman bad. Anyways, we just got penetrated. Quote, we just got penetrated. We just abjectly failed at our jobs as executives. Come on, you expect me to do my job to get my paycheck? Don't be ridiculous. This is America. So we will continue to look at every aspect of our defense, every aspect of how our tools are working, and what may be necessary to bolster it going forward. I tell you, taking in front of the courthouse and flogging the ever shit out of you for a little while, that might bolster your cybersecurity efforts. Anyways. Analysts question timing of disclosure. During Tuesday's conference call, UNFI executives faced questions about the decision to wait until Monday morning to disclose the breach. So they got hit Thursday, their systems went down Friday, and then they waited a couple of days before they told everybody. Because, the executive, it's the weekend. I mean, come on, what's the point of a yacht if you don't get to go out on your yacht during the weekend? One analyst noted that UNFI shares started falling before last Thursday when the company says it became aware of the cyber attack. Quote, it very much appears that someone knew this was going to happen, said the analyst. Let's see, Douglas declined to comment on regulatory authorities, but stressed that, quote, there is no way we could have communicated any faster. So you got hacked numerous days before, and then you didn't tell people until Monday. And there's no way. I mean, it's not like there's Twitter. There's Twitter, there's email, there's websites. Anyways, the UNFI CEO added that the company has engaged with all authorities and was reported, quote, all that we know to the FBI. The FBI declined to comment. A spokesperson for the SEC said the agency does not comment on existing or non-existence of a possible investigation. So anyways, so this food distributor was hit by a cyber attack. They did not disclose it for a number of days. The CEO is saying, trust me, bro, that they actually had good cybersecurity, which obviously they didn't. They just stop. Just fucking stop. Dear CEO, dear CEOs, understand the boomers are gonna die pretty soon. I'm just gonna put this on the table, right? For all the CEOs, all the executives out there that have been saying, trust me, bro, to the boomers, right? The boomers have an obnoxious amount of power, and they absolutely refuse to let go of any of it. But here's the funny thing. Death forces you to let go of your power. The boomers are dying. All of you fucking little bitch-ass executives out there that refuse to do your jobs, right? Pretty soon, you're going to be dealing with the Gen Xers. You're going to be dealing with people a lot like me that are tired of your shit. That really are kind of curious. Like, hey, do you think we can throw this one in prison? Yeah, I don't know. 2 months, 3 months, 5 months. How long can we have him rot in a maximum security prison just to see if that does anything to the rest of the executives? Times change. Executives not taking cybersecurity seriously are going to lead to executives rotting in jail. Would be the hope. Would be the hope. But I know you. I know. Eli, you're focusing on the wrong thing. Chinaman bad. Anyways, it is curious. Again, going to Whole Foods and seeing a lot of stuff. Now, don't get me wrong. I could buy my free range, vegan rice or whatever, gluten-free rice, and all that kind of stuff. They were not completely, right, sold out or whatever. But it was interesting to see just how many of the shelves were empty and how many things that I did want to buy actually were unavailable to buy. So what would be curious is, again, from like that security standpoint, everybody uses these systems. It appears that so many of these vital companies literally do not take their cybersecurity systems seriously. And this is my frustration is, I mean, we are at a point, like, I do not believe and I do not think small companies should be regulated by the government for cybersecurity or whatever else. But think about that. If you need to do anything to your house, if you need to run new electrical in your house or put in a new bathroom in your house or any of that kind of stuff, there's all this, there's permitting processes. You have to pull the permit, you have to get inspections, the whole 9 yards to prove you're doing things right. When you're in Baltimore, if you want to put a sign over your business, you have to go through this whole process and they have to inspect to make sure your sign is right. Think about all the things the government forces you to get permits for and inspections and all that kind of stuff. And the thing about this with things like cybersecurity, where is the mandatory auditing process? Where is the compliance to verify that you're up to current standards? Where is the inspection to prove that you're not using routers and switches that are 15 years old and don't have any current firmware updates? Where is the government actually creating and reinforcing systems to protect our digital infrastructure. And that's what I don't see from any of these jackasses. They scream to high hell about Chinaman being bad, but actually fortifying our systems seems a bridge too far. So anyways, there's my thought. What do you think about Whole Foods Distributor being knocked offline, and so many Whole Foods are not able to get their supplies? What do you think about the lack of communication? What do you think in 2025 that CIOs and CTOs don't have to worry about jail time? How much longer do you think that is going to be? And what do you think about the fact that the government just really doesn't seem to care? TikTok is a national security threat. Taking down our hospitals, taking down our food supplies, taking down the rest, it's just kids playing games as far as our politicians are concerned. Anyways, with that, put your thoughts down below, and I'll see y'all later.